You'd be shocked how many people wreck their entire case within hours of the crash just by doing what they think is the right thing. Like giving a recorded statement to the insurance company before they talk to a lawyer, for instance. And once that is on tape, there's no taking it back. You've just handed the insurer a reason to deny your claim or minimize it. Hi, I'm Ted Spaulding. I've spent over 20 years handling personal injury cases in Georgia, and these 5 mistakes I'm about to give you are the ones I see ruin cases time and time again. This video will walk you through exactly what not to do after a crash so you can protect your rights, build a stronger case, and avoid giving the insurance company free ammo. And stay with me to the end because mistake number 5 is the one that quietly limits how much you can recover, even when the other driver is clearly at fault. All right, let's start with the first mistake. The first mistake is not calling the police right away. And this seems so simple, but I can't tell you how many folks I hear from that say, no, the police were not called. You got to call the police. I mean, I get why people try to skip it, right? Because the other person is very nice. No one's massively injured that need to go by EMS. Let's exchange information. Insurance will figure it all out. It's not a big deal. We're good. We don't need to wait around. It's going to take 20 minutes for the police to get here. Then I got to talk to them and all this. And we're going to talk. It's going to be an hour later. I get all of that. People think, nah, it's fine. Let's just exchange info. We'll move on from there. But here's what that decision does. It creates a gap in the story. And insurance companies love gaps. They live in gaps. That's how they minimize these cases. See, in Georgia, you're supposed to report an accident when there's an injury, death, or property damage over a certain amount of money. And with today's repair costs, that threshold gets met very, very quickly. But even beyond the legal requirement that you're supposed to be calling the police, the real value is the report. Well, why? Because the report is the neutral opinion of an expert on who's at fault. And it will record everything that transpired, how the wreck occurred, what witnesses are there, what the at-fault driver says happened, what you say happened, and then again, the police officer's opinion as to who's at fault. And if you don't have that, and weeks later you're trying to prove that the other party's at fault, you're going to be in trouble. Because if the other side is saying, oh, I'm not at fault, I didn't do it, where's your proof? You have none. It's a he said, she said. You have a reason to say it's the other party's fault. You're asking to be compensated. That's the first thing you're going to hear from the insurance company. Well, of course, you're going to say my guy's at fault, but he says he didn't run the red light. Well, yes, he did. Well, but you don't have any proof of it. And it's easy for them when there's not an officer there who can catch them lying to say, no, I didn't run the red light. In essence, prove it. And if you don't have video, you're not going to be able to prove he ran the red light. If you don't have a witness, you're not going to be able to prove that he ran the red light. So don't just try to tough it out and go without calling the police. It is not the right move. You need to call the police, build that record, have that independent person who has no dog in the fight say that other person is the one that's at fault. Mistake number 2, not getting medical attention or delaying care. And both of these are really bad. Delaying care is what I see more often, obviously. Here's the issue. After a crash, I get it. Adrenaline is running. You've got a lot going on. You're worried about your vehicle. How are you going to get home? All of these components. And then when you get home later that night or the next morning, that's when you finally start to feel things, right? It's often not the night of. Headaches, whiplash, shoulder starts hurting, your back starts hurting. Now you got numbness and dizziness and those sorts of things. But here's why waiting too long can hurt your claim. Remember, insurance companies love gaps. You'll hear them say it. If you literally don't go by EMS from the scene, that's a gap in treatment. Well, it must not have been that bad. She didn't go by EMS. She went later. Hopefully not days later, right? Now, if you did wait until days later, now you got a real gap in treatment in their eyes. You didn't go for days or weeks for your first visit. That might seem fully rational to people. I argue that all the time, that real honest people do things like that because they do. They don't think it's a big deal right away because it's not, and it slowly creeps in. They know this, but they're going to argue gap in treatment and say, couldn't have been from this wreck, couldn't be that bad because you waited. You didn't go by EMS. Those are the real bad cases. Those are the ones where you're really injured. You didn't go that day. You didn't go next morning. Do not delay getting the medical care you need, especially early on. Go get it documented, even if it's just bumps and bruising and some soreness. At least you show you went right away, and then you can see where it goes from there. The other is obviously not getting medical attention at all. If you don't treat, you don't have a case. You can get a couple $100 for inconvenience and that's it. But treating means you're injured. And of course, you don't want to fake it. You don't want to lie and go get treatment just to build a case. You have to be truly injured, but don't do the opposite, which is I'm truly injured, but I'm just not going to treat. Why would you do that? The whole point is to get better. And then the value of the case takes care of itself. But if you wait or you don't get treatment at all because you're just going to tough it out, you don't have a case. You can't say I was massively injured and I should be compensated if you don't have treatment, medical records, a doctor saying what your diagnoses are, what your treatment needs are. That creates medical costs. All of this is part of your case. The third mistake is talking too freely with the insurance adjusters, especially the other driver's insurance company. They'll call fast, usually within 24, 48 hours. They'll sound friendly. They'll ask, how are you feeling? Can you tell me what happened? It sounds like a normal conversation with a friend or a neighbor. Here's what you got to remember, though. The adjuster's not your friend. They are trained to reduce what they pay. This is their whole point of existence. This is their job, is to reduce it. So this early phone call is to try to get you saying things that they can use against you later. So when you say things like, yeah, I'm fine, or I'm just a little sore, or it happened so fast, I'm not sure, or I might be partly to blame. It might be partly my fault. Maybe I should have seen them sooner. All of this, they're just writing it down. They're recording it. They're going to use it against you later. Even if you were just trying to be polite by saying these things in this initial phone call because you're caught off guard or whatever, it's a big mistake and it's going to really hurt your claim. Because once you've given it to them, you can't unsay it. So what do I tell people? Well, I have a simple rule. I tell them just report the basic facts, and quite frankly, just tell them the police report will explain everything that happened. Once I get it, I'll give it to you. You can give them the date, location, your vehicle information, your insurance information. But I would refrain from giving them a lot of detail. Don't go through exactly what happened and all of that. Tell them, let's wait for the police report. It should show everything. If we need to supplement from there, I can give you more information. Just be real nice. They're not going to like it, but tough. Because remember, they're not your friends. If they ask, are you hurt? I would just keep it to, yes, I am, and I'm seeking medical attention. Nothing else. That's it. Stay calm, firm. Don't debate with them. You do not have any legal right to give them any information, quite frankly. But you're at least being kind and giving them some. So don't feel bad. Don't let them make you feel bad. Now, mistake number 4 is the one that makes every other mistake harder to fix. Because without evidence, everything becomes an argument. So just like the first one with no police report. And this is mistake number 4 is not collecting evidence at the scene. Now, obviously, safety is always first. I don't want you to force yourself to collect evidence and put yourself in harm's way, going out in the middle of roadways and things like that. But when I'm talking about evidence, the things you can get right there at the scene can be vitally important. Pictures, video, looking at the scene, talking to witnesses, recording witnesses with your phone, getting all of their information is massively important. Can't tell you how many times they don't show up on police reports. Oh, there were 3 witnesses. Well, did you get their information? No, I thought the officer was going to get it. They didn't. Looking around your scene to see if there's any businesses or homes that might have ring cameras or security cameras that might have captured the wreck. All of these things are very important things that you can quickly gather while you're waiting on the police to show up, while the police are talking to the other driver, and before you leave. It doesn't take a lot of time, but you got to collect it because you don't know what's going to be missing that you can't get from either the police department or the other side's insurance company. You need to protect your rights and make sure you have everything you can. When you call a lawyer days and weeks later, we can't go back and recreate a lot of that stuff. Pictures of your vehicle, maybe yes. Maybe we get lucky and get some video. Maybe we get lucky and the witnesses or 1 or 2 are on the police report. But but I can't tell you how many times those things are gone and we can't get them if you didn't get them immediately. So not collecting evidence is massively detrimental to your case. We cannot build the case without some of that initial evidence that you're going to have to get while you're there. It's really, really difficult, especially if you've already made mistake number one and you didn't call the police. So hopefully you didn't, and police did come out, because at least you'll have the report to back you up. But even more importantly, if you didn't call the police, you're going to better have all this evidence collected. All right, now for mistake number 5 that I told you was the most important. And I know this is going to sound contrite because, oh, a lawyer's saying it. But I promise you I'm not saying it just because I'm a lawyer, and it doesn't have to be me that you contact. But waiting too long to talk to a Georgia personal injury attorney can really be a problem. And notice that I say talk to. I'm not saying you've got to hire a personal injury lawyer, certainly not right away. Yes, you're obviously better off with one than not one in most cases, but at least initially talk to a lawyer to get some sound advice while you're contemplating whether to hire him or her or someone else. They can at least tell you some of these things that I've told you in this video, plus a lot of other things. I mean, I could do 5 more videos of things I would tell you in an initial consultation, meaning you haven't hired me yet, but here's what I will do to help you regardless of whether you hire me. There are so many different things: insurance issues, hospital visit problems, bills, things that we can give you advice on that you can use regardless of whether you hire an attorney. It is so important. Please at least talk to an attorney. You can decide on your own whether to hire an attorney down the road, either right after that conversation or days, weeks, months later. You have time at that point, but you at least get this sound advice at the beginning. Now, in Georgia, it's real important because there are time limits for filing injury cases. And while that time frame is normally 2 years, and that sounds like a really long time, these cases don't fall apart in 2 years. They fall apart very quickly. So it doesn't mean you have 2 years to finally call a lawyer and hire them. We don't like getting cases 6 months before the statute runs. Heck, I don't like getting them 6 months after the wreck because evidence goes away. I can't try to fill gaps if we didn't find witnesses, if we didn't find video. Video is typically destroyed within 30 days from businesses or homes. You didn't call me early enough, I can't go and get that stuff for you. We could lose a lot of time and valuable evidence. And here's the other thing. Even if you do decide to hire an attorney, remember in Georgia, it's contingency fee based, meaning there's no upfront cost. You're not paying retainers. It's only if there is a recovery do you owe, and it's out of the recovery. So it's not coming out of your personal pocket. It's coming out of your settlement or verdict. So there's plenty of incentive to ultimately hire an attorney. But again, at least talk to one. You don't want to wait until things get worse to start asking questions. That is too late. Don't be too late in talking to a Georgia personal injury attorney. All right, so let's do a quick recap. The 5 biggest mistakes people make after a car accident in Georgia are: number 1, not calling the police. Number 2, delaying medical care or not getting medical attention at all. Number 3, saying too much to the insurance company, especially recorded statements. 4, not collecting evidence at the scene. And 5, not talking to a personal injury attorney early or at all. Please at least talk. If you avoid these 5 mistakes, you're putting yourself in a much stronger position. Now, here's the thing you need to watch, because insurance companies know exactly how to pressure you after a crash, especially quick settlement offers. If you're wondering, should I take an early settlement offer from another driver's insurance company after a car accident, you cannot afford to miss our next video. Click over now to should I accept an early settlement offer from another driver's insurance company after a car accident. It could be the difference between getting shortchanged and getting the compensation you deserve. I'll see you over there.